Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we do take a look at projectors here on the channel from time to time, and most of the time, those projectors are geared towards consumers. This projector I got in the other day on loan from BenQ is focused more on the office environment, but I do think there might be some consumer use for this one as well. It just lacks a lot of the bells and whistles that we see on projectors these days. This is their LH730. It is an LED projector, but it can get up to about 4,000 nits of brightness, and you don't have to change the bulb on regular intervals. So the overall cost of ownership here is pretty low, and you don't have to deal with maintenance on this over time, at least until the LEDs burn out on it. But they do rate it for about 20,000 hours on its brighter setting and 30,000 on its eco setting. And we're going to take a closer look at this projector and what it's all about in just a second, but I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that BenQ sent this to the channel on loan. When I'm done with this, it goes back to them. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying me for this review, nor is anyone reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this projector is all about. Now, the price point on this comes in at around $1,300. Given its feature set, I think it's pretty reasonably priced for what you're getting here. Again, 4,000 ANSI lumens of brightness. I can verify that that's about what I was seeing here in my studio. Typically what I like to do is leave our lights on in here and turn the projector on and see what we can see on the wall. And it was pretty visible. I did have some difficulties filming this device because of how the sensor on my camera interacts with the DLP hardware inside of the projector. But overall, the images look good in office light and even better when the lights went off. Now, the maximum resolution on this one is 1080p, and it will support a refresh rate at up to 60 Hertz. It does support HDR, but only HDR10 and HLG. It does not support Dolby Vision, but this is not marketed as a home theater projector. It will take up to a 4K 60 input, though, so it will downscale 4K to 1080p if you do plug in a high-resolution source. And because this is more of a commercially focused projector, it does not have any apps built in, so you have to plug in your Fire Stick or your Roku or whatever if you do want to use it for entertainment. Now, DLP projectors typically have a good contrast ratio where you get deeper blacks versus some of the cheaper projectors out there. This one is no exception to that rule. We got a 500,000 to 1 contrast ratio. Things look pretty good. It also meets about 98% of the Rec. 709 color space, which means that if you are doing customer presentations and showing photographs and layouts, they should look pretty good on here and pretty close to what an accurate representation of the color will be. Let me flip it around to the back here so you can see all of the inputs on it. You don't have much, but I don't think you need much on something like this. So one thing you're going to notice is that everything is upside down on the back here. That's because this projector is designed to be hung from a ceiling upside down. They have an optional ceiling mount that screws into the bottom here to do that. So if you are using this on a table like I was testing it, you do have to essentially flip it over and go into the menu and find the setting to have it reverse the image. Not a hard thing to do, but it is definitely geared out of the box to go up on the ceiling, even down to how they labeled the ports. Now you have two HDMI inputs for any kind of video going in, and these are both HDMI 2.0, and they support HDCP 2.2. So if you're plugging in a 4K Blu-ray player or one of the popular streaming devices, this will work just fine. There is a USB port here. This is for powering whatever you're plugging in. So if you got a Roku, you can power the Roku off the USB port here and leave everything up in the ceiling. You also have a service port here. This is not used for putting in MP3 files or anything. It's just for servicing the device. There's also a serial input here for using office automation and other types of automation you might use with these projectors. And the LAN port here is also used for BenQ's automation. So this is, again, very bare bones from an input perspective. You got to bring your own player, but I think for a lot of folks that might be just fine. Now, as far as power consumption is concerned, the technical specifications say about 365 watts is what you could expect. In my testing, I was seeing about 300 watts. The good thing here, though, is that because it's an LED, there's no warm-up period. So when you push the button, it just comes right up. The light's not going to get dimmer over time, and it cools down pretty quickly also because these are a much more power-efficient bulb. Now on the top, you do have a focus and a zoom control. There's no autofocus on this like you sometimes see on some of the fancier consumer models. So you will have to get up there on the ladder and get the focus just right before you dial everything in. The zoom here is only 1.2. It's not a very big zoom, but you can get everything positioned properly to where it will work best. Now, as far as controls are concerned, they do have controls here on the side. These are right side up, incidentally, unlike the things on the back. And that's, of course, because you'll likely be using these controls in desk mode. They also have a remote control that has the same controls on there, too. You will notice a volume option here, and that's because there is a small speaker built in. It's probably fine for a classroom or something. It's not going to provide any kind of home theater experience. So if you are looking for better quality sound, especially music, you'll probably want to plug in a pair of speakers, and you can output audio to those speakers with the 3.5 millimeter jack right here. So to test the projector out, I put it about 10 feet away from my wall where I got about a 75 to 80 inch screen. The throw ratio on this is 1.3 to 1.56 depending on the zoom level that you're using and whatever keystoning it might be doing. The keystoning worked fine on this. I just set it up and pointed it and everything looked perfectly straight. The image quality I was pleased with. I had my Google Chromecast plugged in for testing and I was able to play back media without issue. It looks nice and sharp. I was outputting 4K and the projector, of course, was downscaling that to 1080p. As I mentioned earlier, it looks better in the dark than it does at room light, but still with the room lights on, you could very easily do a presentation and see just about everything on screen without issue. Now, I also tried some gaming out on it. Even though it's not designed as a gaming device, I figured, why not? Let's give it a shot. Games looked great on this. I connected up my Xbox Series S to it and played around with some Wreckfest, and overall, it was a decent gaming experience. The projector's specifications say it presents about 35-ish milliseconds of lag. This is pretty much on par with most of the consumer projectors that I have tested, even in their game modes. So it's, of course, not going to be perfect for gaming because it does have input lag, but it's not any worse than many of the other consumer models out there, and you've got something that is very bright and doesn't need bulb replacements over time. So if you have less twitchy games that you want to play on the big screen, this will do fine for that. And one quick additional note on gaming, I did connect my Analog Super NT to this, which is my lowest input lag video gaming device, and I was able to confirm in my testing that this does align very favorably with other consumer projectors that I have looked at when it comes to gaming. So overall, if you are somebody who has the task of buying projectors for your institution, I would definitely give this one some serious consideration. The brightness is outstanding on this for an LED, and because it's an LED, you don't have to deal with the bulb replacement, especially in areas where you've got a lot of projector use. Again, they're rating this for 20,000 to 30,000 hours, depending on what you're doing with it, and I think that alone might make it worth considering. The image quality is great, every bit as good as a bulb-based projector at this price point, and I like the fact that it's relatively simple. There's nothing to futz around with. You plug something in, it shows up on the screen at 1080p, and you are good to go. So definitely worth taking a look at this one, and until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Budley, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Steve Green, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.